Welcome, everyone. Today's story is about an important idea that can completely change your life: believing in growth. Many people think their abilities are fixed. They believe they are either smart or not smart, talented or not talented, successful or unsuccessful. But the truth is very different. Growth happens when we learn, practice, make mistakes, and keep moving forward. This story will show you why believing in growth is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. As you read, you will also improve your English fluency by following simple language and meaningful lessons. The lesson from this story is clear. No matter where you are today, you can become better tomorrow if you continue learning and never stop growing. There was once a young person who often compared themselves to others. Every morning, they looked around and saw people who seemed more talented, more confident, and more successful. Some spoke English fluently. Some achieved excellent results in their studies, and others appeared to learn new skills quickly. Whenever this young person saw someone doing better, a heavy feeling filled their heart. They began to believe that success belonged only to special people. They thought talent was something a person was born with, and that those who did not have it were destined to remain ordinary forever. Because of this belief, they avoided challenges. Whenever an opportunity appeared, they stepped back. Whenever a difficult task came, they told themselves, "I can't do it." Slowly, their confidence became weaker, and their dreams seemed farther away than ever before. One day, while walking through a quiet park, the young person noticed a small tree growing between two large rocks. It looked fragile and weak, yet it continued reaching toward the sunlight. The rocks around it seemed impossible to overcome, but the tree did not stop growing. Day after day, it stretched its roots deeper into the ground and pushed its branches higher into the sky. The young person sat nearby and watched the tree for a long time. They wondered how something so small could survive in such a difficult place. The tree had no choice but to grow. It did not complain about the rocks. It did not compare itself to the tall trees around it. It simply continued growing one day at a time. That image remained in the young person's mind. Over the following weeks, they began paying attention to other examples of growth. They saw children learning to ride bicycles. At first, the children fell many times. Some cried, some became frustrated, and some wanted to quit. Yet those who kept trying eventually learned to balance and ride confidently. They noticed musicians practicing the same notes repeatedly until their fingers moved naturally. They watched athletes train every day, improving little by little. None of these people were perfect when they started. They all struggled. They all made mistakes. But they improved because they believed improvement was possible. The young person started thinking about their own life. For years, they had avoided learning English because they believed they were not naturally good at languages. Whenever they made mistakes while speaking, they felt embarrassed. Whenever they forgot vocabulary, they felt discouraged. Instead of practicing more, they practiced less. Instead of learning from mistakes, they feared them. Now, for the first time, they questioned their belief. What if fluency was not something people were born with? What if it was something people developed through practice and patience? The idea felt strange at first, but it also felt hopeful. The next day, they decided to make a small change. They read one page of an English book. It was difficult. There were many words they did not understand. Reading that single page took much longer than expected. In the past, they would have stopped immediately. But this time, they reminded themselves of the tree growing between the rocks. Growth was not about speed. Growth was about continuing. They finished the page and learned a few new words. It did not seem like a big achievement, but it was a step forward. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The young person continued reading simple English stories every day. Some days felt easy, while other days felt frustrating. There were moments when progress seemed invisible. However, they kept going. They listened to English conversations, practiced speaking aloud, and learned from their mistakes. Gradually, they noticed small improvements. Sentences became easier to understand. New words stayed in their memory longer. Conversations felt less intimidating. What once seemed impossible was slowly becoming reality. One afternoon, they met an older teacher who shared an important lesson. The teacher said, "Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a week and underestimate what they can achieve in a year. Growth is often invisible while it is happening. Like a seed under the soil, progress continues even when you cannot see it." These words had a powerful effect. The young person realized they had spent years expecting immediate results. When success did not arrive quickly, they assumed they lacked ability. They never gave themselves enough time to grow. From that day forward, they developed a new habit. Instead of asking, "Am I good enough?" they asked, "Am I improving?" This simple change transformed their mindset. They no longer focused on being perfect. They focused on becoming better. Every mistake became a lesson. Every challenge became an opportunity. Every setback became part of the journey rather than proof of failure. They understood that growth was not a straight line. Some days brought success, while others brought disappointment. Yet even difficult days contributed to progress. As their confidence increased, they began applying this belief to other areas of life. They learned new skills, accepted challenges, and stopped comparing themselves to others. They realized that everyone grows at a different pace. Some people progress quickly in one area and slowly in another. Comparing journeys only creates frustration. What truly matters is continuing to move forward. The young person understood that growth is deeply personal. It is not a competition. It is a commitment to becoming a better version of yourself. Years later, they looked back at the person they used to be. They remembered the fear, the self-doubt, and the belief that abilities were fixed forever. That version of themselves seemed like a distant memory. They were not perfect now, and they still had much to learn. But they had achieved things they once thought impossible. They could communicate confidently in English, solve difficult problems, and face challenges without giving up. None of these achievements came from natural talent alone. They came from consistent effort and a belief in growth. One evening, while walking through the same park, they returned to the place where they had first noticed the small tree. To their surprise, the tree was no longer small. It had grown tall and strong. Its roots had found their way through the rocks, and its branches stretched proudly toward the sky. Looking at it, the young person smiled. The tree had become a symbol of everything they had learned. Growth does not happen overnight. It happens quietly, steadily, and patiently. Every day of effort matters, even when results are not immediately visible. The young person also realized something important about success. Success is not reaching a final destination where there is nothing left to learn. True success is maintaining the desire to keep growing. Life will always present new challenges, new opportunities, and new lessons. People who believe in growth welcome these experiences because they understand that every challenge has the potential to make them stronger, wiser, and more capable. As time passed, they began encouraging others who struggled with self-doubt. Whenever someone said, I can't do it, they shared their story. They explained that growth begins the moment you stop believing that your limitations are permanent. They reminded people that every expert was once a beginner, every fluent speaker was once a learner, and every successful person once faced failure. The difference is not that successful people never struggle. The difference is that they continue despite their struggles. The message spread from one person to another. Some started learning new languages. Others pursued education, developed skills, or chased dreams they had abandoned years earlier. Many discovered abilities they never knew they possessed, all because they chose to believe in growth rather than limitations. They understood that while talent may provide a starting advantage, perseverance and learning determine where a person ultimately ends up. The greatest lesson from this story is simple yet powerful. Your current abilities do not define your future. Your mistakes do not define your potential. Your challenges do not define your limits. Growth is always possible when you are willing to learn, practice, and remain patient. Like the tree growing between the rocks, you may face obstacles that seem impossible. But every small effort moves you forward. Every lesson makes you stronger. Every day of consistent action brings you closer to the person you want to become. Moral of the story: believe in growth. Do not judge yourself by where you are today. Focus on improving little by little each day. With patience, effort, and persistence, you can achieve far more than you currently imagine. Growth is not a gift given to a few people. It is an opportunity available to everyone who chooses to keep learning and never gives up.